back to another episode of Unfiltered Romance Nights. We are your hosts, Kolleen.
And I'm Marjorie. For today's episode, we have USA Today and Amazon Top 10 best-selling author Jay Salmon. She writes sassy, swoony, and scorching contemporary romances. She is addicted to Diet Coke, sour candy, and indie rock. Thank you for taking the time to meet with us today.
Thank you for having me. I'm excited to be here.
So before we jump into your world of books, let's kind of get to know you.
Okay, sure.
Okay. So how did you get started in your writing journey?
So I'd always sort of been writing, I guess. Even like back in high school, like creative writing was always just like a fun thing to do, I guess. And then I didn't really start. So when I was in graduate school, it was long hours and really stressful. So again, writing was sort of a de-stressing thing, but I didn't publish until like after I'd had my third baby. I just sort of I was like, oh, I'll just try it, and that's sort of how I did it. Like really, like, oh, I'll just publish, which was not smart at all. So it was, I kind of did it without really knowing what I was doing. So it was a sharp learning curve from there. But yeah, it's been like 9.5 years now. But I didn't really have a ton of thought or intelligence with it when I started.
Yeah, but you got the hard part down. The hard part is getting it to pen to paper, so to speak.
Yes.
So
yeah. So, and I had when I first published, by that point I had the first book, and then, which isn't, I don't even think available right now, but and then the second, like I'd already had a couple written. So at that point it was like, in indie publishing was sort of at the newer side of things. And so, I'd sort of heard about it, but didn't really know anything from market research or covers or any of that good stuff. So, yeah, I kind of just did it. But yeah, I mean, writing the stories, I think was probably almost the easier part for me, the beginning, than the actual publishing part.
So prior to becoming an author, did you have like any other career?
Yeah, so I'm a licensed nurse practitioner. I'm still technically licensed. I don't practice anymore, really. So although the occasional Julie, we need the antibiotic, I still get that. But yeah, I don't practice anymore. But I was a nurse for a few years, and then I became a nurse practitioner, and I practiced for about 10 years. I was always part-time because I liked being home mostly with my kids. So but yeah, so I was kind of per diem. I'd work weekends and things like that when I felt like it, kind of. So yeah, so I did that. Which is probably why I write a lot of medical romance, sort of right what you know.
Yeah. Well, that's funny that you bring that up, because as reading some of your books, I'm like, well, how the hell does she know that? Like, did you have to look it up? Because that was one of my questions. Like, how did you do that research? But now we know. Mystery solved.
Well, yeah, I mean, some things I still, depends on the situation. Certain things, I have a really great group of nurse practitioner best friends. And so, and they're in all different fields. So it makes it very easy. So like, in Irresistibly Risky, the hero in there had like shoulder injury stuff, and ortho was like always my worst subject. So, but I would ask my friend and be like, because she's an ortho nurse practitioner, and so sometimes research is definitely needed if it's outside of my field of expertise. But I did mostly family medicine and women's health and urgent care. So between the three of those, usually that's a pretty well-rounded thing. So most of the stuff I've got. Some of the stuff I do still have to look up or at least refresh myself with.
Yeah. Well, when you do find the time to juggle family and work, do you have any hobbies?
Not really. It's so sad to say. I'm a total workaholic. I really am. And it's not necessarily a good thing, but my work is also, at this point, it's also like, it was my hobby, right? So writing was my hobby, reading was my hobby. So, and I sort of turned that into a career, into a profession. So, even when I'm like working, it's not like, oh, I have to go to work today. It's like
Right.
I love writing. Like I love that part. So for me, even like when we go on vacation, my husband would be like, oh, like, what do you want to do? I was like, oh, I'm just gonna sit by the pool and read or write or something. He's like, okay. Very
I
tunnel
know,
vision,
right?
single-minded, like. But yeah, I mean, that's kind of, yeah, as lame as an answer as that is, I am. I'm a workaholic, I guess.
There's nothing wrong with that.
I
As long
get
as
it.
you're still
Yeah.
enjoying work, I think that's, a good
Yeah,
balance. Yeah.
Right.
I do. I haven't, thankfully, knock on wood, I haven't hit, a big burnout stage yet. So once that comes, I'm sure I'll push myself back. But yeah, no, I'm still at the I love what I do part, so that makes it easy.
So you mentioned you do read when you get a chance. Who are some of your favorite authors?
Oh gosh, I have tons. I have tons. Um, well, I mean, I read everything. I read everything from, like, I mostly read romance, but I read everything from like romantic comedies to dark romance to sports, like everything. So, like Lisa Suzanne for sports is always like a go-to. I read like Pam Godwin if I'm really feeling kind of dark and suspenseful-ish, and Pippa Grant always makes me laugh. Like her stuff
Mhm.
is just great. So I mean, I could really like continue on for like the next like 3 hours on just authors that I love. But yeah, I mean, really, like, there's very few things that I won't read. Like, so if somebody's like, "Oh, you need to
Yeah.
read this," I'm like, "Okay, great, I'm in." So I'm not a heavily
Okay.
triggered person, so I'll pretty much read anything.
Now, do your friends and family know about the books that you write, and do they read them, and are they supportive?
They do know. They are very supportive. I'm really, really lucky. Especially my husband is amazing. He's like the
Mm.
most supportive person ever. So that's been really, really lucky, and just amazing. But they don't. They don't. My friends sometimes will read it. My family, not so much. I don't think they want to be in my head in that way. They did read. They did read one book that I wrote years ago, "Love to Hate Her," and that's because it's a rock star romance, but it's single dad, and the little girl on it is autistic. And I wrote it at the time based on it was like right after our little one was diagnosed, and so it was a lot of just our thoughts and feelings and how we were processing it. And so my parents, I guess, were intrigued. And so they read it. And then my
Yeah.
mom was like, and we're done. I'm not doing that again. So she had to skip over
Aw.
some of the naughtier scenes, but I think that was a
That's
little
funny.
too much for them. But yeah, I mean, but generally they're all really, really supportive and excited, and they love, like, they get excited for what I do.
That's awesome.
Nice.
Um, so now we're gonna switch to your books. For anyone who hasn't hasn't had a chance to read the Boston Irresistible Billionaire series, what are some of the tropes that we are going to see in that series?
So in this series, and really, like, it's a lot of my series in general, but so like sort of the main overarching stuff is usually medical. I usually have a doctor, a nurse, or a medical situation in them. Billionaire is usually, it's in there. They're not usually like Masters of the Universe billionaire. They're just usually like billionaires. It's like family billionaires kind of thing. And then, so those are probably the two main overarching. Found family is always a big thing. I guess I don't know if it's spoilery or not, but I don't really do third act breakups.
Yeah.
There's like, it's just not, it just hasn't been, even before the series, like, it hasn't really been my thing for a while. But, and, yeah, I mean, it's a lot of like humor and emotion and pretty steamy. So those are probably the overarching main
Yeah.
tropes of the whole thing. I tend to do like a lot of forbidden tropes, um, things like that. There's a few brothers, best friends, and best friends brothers in this series. There's a brother's ex girlfriend, so marriage of convenience,
Oh,
all the fun
yes.
tropes.
Yeah. Brother's
Yeah,
best friend, slight age gap.
Yeah, age
right?
gap. They've
Yeah.
got a few age gaps in here. There's a
Yeah.
reverse age gap in this one. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
Uh-huh.
like the little each book tropes, those I tried to vary to a certain degree with each one just to kind of keep it fresh for myself and fresh for readers. But the other ones are probably like the more main overarching
Yeah.
for the series. And it's technically next generation, but you don't really have to have read the previous series
Okay.
to read these.
That's good to know. But then there's some of us who need to read things in
Like
order, and
me.
then so.
Me, it's like
But I
So
find,
yeah, it's technically three. So this is the second generation of three series into one. So that's a lot. That's a lot of back matter to go through.
yeah. Well, and for anyone listening, I will speak on this. I certainly read this out of order, and I didn't feel like I missed something, because sometimes when you do this, you say interconnected. Is it truly that? But it truly is that with this. So it was very easy.
Yeah, they're
I was,
interconnected standalones, and I do try to make them as standalone as possible, so
yeah.
that for I try not to make spoilers for other stories,
Mm-hmm.
and I try to just like if I do need to um, write like these people are together, like it's usually like a one or two liner to explain it, and that's like I try
Yeah.
not to go into huge detail with previous characters and their stories, so. I do
Right.
try to make it standalone if possible.
Don't be mad at me, but we're going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Okay. If you
Okay.
had to choose, which book in this series is your favorite and which couple would be your favorite? I know it's like asking to choose your favorite child.
Choose my child. That is a really, really tough one. So I think probably my favorite book in this series so far, well, it's sort of the one that I'm writing right now, which is
Yeah.
the last in the series, because that's sort of how that goes with me. But also, I would think I really loved Undeniably Married. Like Mason and Sorrel's book is just so much fun. Mason is, I think, one of my favorite characters. So I think that
Okay.
kind of is why he's like this ultimate golden retriever kind of puppy guy. And that's like the reverse age gap, and he's just totally like gone on Sorrel. So that was just like a very fun book to write. Some of them are like, I feel a lot of stress and tension while I'm writing it. That one was just like easy breezy.
Yeah.
My favorite couple, so I have an extreme soft spot for Katie. She, like when I started writing this series, like Katie and Owen and Mason, those three characters were mentioned in previous series, and we see Katie, same with Keegan and Kenna, and we see, but Katie has sort of her own, not really her own story, but like in Irresistibly Wild, she's the niece, adopted niece of Callan, who's the hero in that book. Um, so just because of that, and Layla, who is his counterpart, is from another series. So like that one to me was just so connected to the start of this world for me, that Katie is just, she just has this place for me, and Bennett is
Okay.
just, I really liked writing him as well. So I'd probably say Katie and Bennett are my favorite couple because Katie's kind of like my person.
Okay.
at least we did
That's good.
That was
you.
probably a long, more convoluted.
No,
No,
You
but
need
it's
it,
good.
at least we're not making you choose from all of your books. It's just this series.
Oh my
Right.
gosh.
I kept it to the
No.
series.
Yes. No, and I appreciate that, because that would have been like, oh.
Yeah, because sometimes we do that, and we're like, oh, but we should.
And then when we all want to cry.
Yeah, I know.
So, Undeniably Unexpected is book six in this series, and you said you're writing the last one, so there's going to be just 7 total.
Yeah, so there'll be 7 in this series, and then there will be sort of like a spin-off still in this world, in this like next generation world, that will be 5 or 6 books. I'm not really sure yet. And that will start next year. But that'll be like a different group within this world. But yeah, so there will be 7 books total in this particular series.
Okay. Okay. And generally they're about, I find just from what I looked up, there's usually about like 5 to 6, 7, like what's the lowest number? Like
Yeah, this is
5?
my longest series that I've
Mm-hmm.
done. 7 books will definitely be my longest. Usually they're like 4 to 5.
Okay, yeah.
That's usually what I do. I do have like going back. I have like a romantic suspense Las Vegas and series that's 3 books. I Start Again series is 3 books. But after those 2 series, it was sort of like the 4s and the 5s. Kind
Yeah.
of was where I ended up, and now I'm at 7. So it kind of got long on me.
Now, why did you choose to mostly set these books in Boston? What was the choice in that?
So I'm from my husband and I. So I went to college in Boston. I lived in Boston for like over 15 years. It's where I met my
Oh,
husband. It's where we had our kids. So we lived up there until we moved to Connecticut. When did we move to Connecticut? I don't know, 12, 15 years ago, something like that. But we were up in Boston. No, that makes no sense time-wise. But we've been in Connecticut for a while. Now I'm like thinking of like how long we were up there. But yeah, so like we were up in Boston for at least 15 years. My husband's from there, so we go up
okay.
quite frequently. My brother still lives there. So Boston is like, it's just our home. It's like what we
Yeah.
still, like whenever we go up, we start, like, it still feels like we're home. So I love it up there. So it was just sort of a natural, easy place to write about.
Gotcha.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I always wonder, like some authors will write about certain areas and I wonder why they pick that. But yeah, it's
Yeah.
like it's your little hometown. I love it.
Yeah. It's like it's my
Your
comfy
happy
space, I
place.
guess. Yes.
So if Undeniably Unexpected were to become a movie or a TV show, which actor and actresses would you have play the MMC and the FMC?
Oh my goodness. I this is the worst. I honestly don't know. So I don't watch a ton of TV or movies anymore.
Same.
So for me, like that's always a really difficult question. So Loomis is British. Um, so it would need to be somebody kind of hot and swoony with a little bit of bad boy vibes to him, but who can either do a great accent or is British.
Henry Cavill. That's the only British that I know right now.
I know, it's like it's a tough one, you know. That's why I'm saying, like, I'm bad with that
Charlie
stuff.
Hunnam has
Keegan is
bad boy vibe.
yeah, like, and he's blonde, like he could work that. You could see that for sure. And Keegan is a curvy, redheaded, kind of quirky, smart, you know, bold kind of woman. She with like the biggest heart ever. She's like, you know, kind of best friend vibes. So
Yeah.
I don't know who, like Emma Stone, but not really curvy. So I don't know.
Who's that one? Anna Kendrick? Is that her name?
Yeah, I could see that. I could see
She's
like
been
an
in a
Anna
lot
Kendrick for
lately.
her. Yeah,
love
I
her.
could see that for her. That could, yeah, I could see that for sure. Actually, yes.
Like, could you see her in the beginning, like with the coffee all over the place?
Yes, I could.
I could see it.
And like you do need to, like, I feel like for Keegan, like you do need to have like some you know, some rom-com
Yeah.
physical ability to be able to pull her off, because she's a bit of an awkward duck sometimes. So
I love her.
So how many books do you typically release in a year? Like,
it depends. Usually like 4 to 5. So just depending on like release scheduling. You know, if I end up releasing one in January, that sort of filters through. If I write a Christmas book, which I'm hoping to this year, that's usually like a novella-ish kind of book. So that sometimes I count that, sometimes I don't really count that as a full release. So usually 4 to 5 is like tends to be my consistent sweet spot, if I can maintain that. So
that's I think 4 to 5 is good. That's
majority,
the general
yeah.
consensus. Yeah.
Oh, is it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think 4 to 5, yeah.
Right? Yeah. So out of all your books now, all of them, which one would you say was the most difficult for you to write?
That's a really good question. The most difficult to write, in terms of like, just like
whether it was
characters
emotional to
relating
you
or emotional.
Yeah.
Okay, so just any of that.
Sure.
Yeah. So all right, let's think now. Emotionally, it was really tough to write The Edge of Reason. That was
Mm.
just Margot's character was this very emotionally troubled person, and there was a very not like it's hard to explain, but there was a scene in there that was very tough to like write, and like literally every time like I read it, so like I'm always like in tears. So it's
Oh.
that kind of book. Irresistibly Wild was kind of like that too. There's definitely a scene in there that kind of like hits you in the gut. Um, and it's definitely one of the more emotional in that series. Um, and then I guess in terms of just difficulty with like dragging my butt through it. Um, I probably would say Dr. Playboy. That one I had so much, and I don't even know why. It was a long book. It was one of the longer ones, and just like I was like mad at the hero for a lot of it. So I had to like redeem him, but I was like mad at him because and you're supposed to be in the beginning, right?
Yeah.
But so I was mad at him, and so I'm like trying to redeem him, and I did, but it was like, but being mad at him and trying to like, write him that way without like wanting to like kill him off the page was harder for me. So I'll go with that one for
Oh
hard to
my
write.
God. Could you imagine? Kill him off the page and write the end. Done.
Yeah, like you are done. That's kind of where I was, and like it took me to like the 50 to 60% mark where I was kind of like, okay, I'm starting to like you again. But like I really didn't for that point because I was mad at him. So, but then I got over it. Then I liked him a lot after that. But
It would be like
it was probably the
it
hardest.
would be like a surprise of a non-HEA. Like
Yeah, right.
it was supposed to be
and I just killed him off the page.
It was supposed to be an HEA
for somebody else to fall in love with. Yeah.
You're funny.
But I got so mad at him.
Yeah, I was like furious. And it was like, I mean, his reasons were valid for what he did. And, it was it was sort of like a right guy, wrong time trope. So he he breaks her heart, after they have like a time together in the beginning that we see. It's sort of like back in time, but we don't really but that's sort of how the book starts. And then, I'm not a third act breakup person, but so like when he breaks up with her, I was mad, like he does it for her own good and he had to do, but I was mad. So it took me a little while to get over it. Same with her, I guess. I was sort of living her emotional journey with it. So
That's funny.
Those are good though, like where the breakup is kind of early on, and then you see the
First act.
yeah, you see it like the change and development, and then the groveling and all that stuff. That's
yeah, and that's what it was. And like it was good that he groveled, but I was like her, like really it took me to like the 50-60% mark where I was like, okay, I guess. So.
We'll give you a chance.
Yeah, I guess I'll give you a chance.
The third act breakup is so stressful because you're like watching that percentage on the bottom. It's like, are they actually gonna get back together? Like,
it is, and like even it's funny. Like for me as a reader, it started that way. Like I would get to like the third act breakup in the book, and I would like close the book and like be like, okay, I need a minute because I don't want to read their breakup. And it would like,
Right.
It's like the angst and the tension, and it like some people love that, and it's like the best part of the book for them, and like I totally get that. But you got to be like an angsty person for that, and so. But as a reader, like I found like I was liking books more that didn't necessarily have this big dramatic. Miscommunication is not my jam. So like if that was there, like that bothered me. And so as a reader and so as a writer, like I found it very difficult to write that into the story. It's like I always like, well, why can't they just have a conversation about that? So that's kind of what I started doing.
I usually understand the miscommunication when it's like a high school or college romance.
Yeah, and that I can actually read that better because I'm like, okay, well, you're young, I feel like I'm at the point in my life where I'm like,
but when they're adults, like full grown adults, and I'm like, you guys could just talk, right? You know that, right?
Yeah. It's like, can you not just have a conversation about this and figure it out? That's kind of where I go. So
especially if you're supposed to be in love, like at some
yes, yeah. So that's like for me, that's sort of a as a reader it became like that, and then as a writer it's definitely grown into that more.
I feel like that would be hard too, like third act breakup, because you're on the last like the back end of the story. You have to get them to go together. You don't want it to like
Yeah.
prolong,
Yeah.
so you're like rushing through that end scene, to the end game, I guess.
But that's all, like it's funny, like, yes, and like they're like, if there's a real valid reason for the third act breakup, I actually am fine with that. And sometimes there is, and sometimes it's a necessary thing to have happen, and like that I can almost handle better. And then there's like, you have the grand gesture, and the grand gesture is like, that amazing magical moment that we all sort of love and want to see, especially from our groveling hero. So yeah, like when the grand gesture happens, that's always like the part. So I think you have to, I guess, go through the dark place to get there.
Yeah.
But I don't always do well with the dark place. So.
We'll put you on another spot.
Oh,
Okay.
yeah.
So if you could describe your books in 3 words, what 3 words would it be?
Well, so so then I guess there's like my tagline, which is 3 words. So I might just steal that
There you
because it's an
go.
easy answer. So that's like that. So my tagline is like sassy, swoony, scorching, which I guess is probably it, right? Like I tend to write,
Absolutely.
humor and sassy heroines that are strong, and like there is definitely some funny part. The swoony part, there's definitely, I write swoony heroes and some emotion in there. And then scorching, I like to write pretty
Yeah.
steamy romance. So we'll go with that.
That's good.
Okay.
It was my
Perfect.
easy answer.
See, it wasn't so hard.
At least you already have
Yeah,
that.
that was my
ready.
easy one.
Yeah,
I
Yeah.
did. Yeah, that was sort of an easy gimme for me. So
I know. Usually when you know what, I like to do that because then it's like, oh, I don't know. Oh, and it's like try to come up with words. Now, what projects do you have in the future that you can discuss with us?
So I have book 7 in this series, which will probably come out probably either late September, early October. I'm not 100% sure yet. I'm hoping to do a Christmas novella for the fall, if I can find the time. And then I actually have, and then I'll have that spin-off series in the spring. But I also have, so years ago I had written a sort of like a series for a reading app called Yonder. They had commissioned me to do it and it was like a traditionally published format. So, but I got the rights back to these books, and they're darker fairy tale retellings. So I'm going to be the first 2 are technically a duet. So I'm going to be releasing the first 2 probably December and January. And then it will be, I guess if you count a duet as 2 books. So technically it'll be 5 books, but 4 couples with fairy tale retellings and darker, more suspenseful kind of themes
I'm
behind it.
excited for that. I love fairy tale retellings.
Yeah, I do too. And I was very excited when I got the rights back to the books. I was like, yes, I can publish them. So, yeah, they're going to be, I'm going to probably publish them under Julie Sman instead of Jay Salmon, probably just because it's not really my typical brand, but it'll pretty obvious that it's me. So, yeah, so I'm excited for that. So that will also be, so those books will come out starting the end of this year, and then hopefully through weaving in and out of the other series. So
nice. Oh, now I'm really excited for that.
So like with that, you getting the rights back, do you have to kind of like do a lot more editing kind of thing?
So I read through them. They were edited kind of strangely first. Like, so basically, like they had, I wrote them, I sent them to them. They read it, like they did their editing, sent it back to me. I made my revisions and sent it back to them. And apparently they had done more editing after that. And so when I got them back, they had just some of their way of doing things was not how I do things. So I just sort of had to go through and make small adjustments and things like that. I think I added a couple chapters to the first book, maybe the second book as well in the duet, just because it felt like it needed a little bit more here and there. So, but nothing huge. So
that's okay. this is out of curiosity. Like, how do you pick kind of
Yeah.
like your covers? You know, like, is it,
Like, oh, my
yeah, is
covers?
it difficult or like,
Like for the
yes,
models
for the
or the
models?
illustrated? For the models, yeah, it's getting difficult. Yeah, there's only so many models you can use, which is why I've been reusing some. Well, actually, I reuse some because it's second gen, and so like I can,
Oh,
like they look, the children look like the parents. So, um, but so I have like a list of photographers that I work with that I've had just really great experiences working with them. So I tend to, if I can, go to them first for their models, and do it that way. This series, we were really intentional in terms of lighting and in terms of like hand placement. So like in each of the covers, like their hand or like they have some sort of like hand presence in there, and the lighting we wanted more natural than like very studioed, and like we wanted to look more natural, the posing, I guess. So but yeah, it gets tough because there's only so many models, and I'm at the point where I've had a lot of books, so it's getting a little harder. But I tend to pick models before I write the book a lot of time, and so with that, I use them as the inspiration for
okay.
how the hero looks.
Perfect.
Oh.
Yeah, that does make sense. So you have like point of reference when you're writing. Yeah.
Yeah, and like it just, sometimes it works out really well that way. Sometimes it kind of comes back to bite at me. Like I'll have to,
Mm.
like the picture that I purchased no longer really fits the story or the character. And that happened um, with Undeniably Enemies. The picture, it's the same model, but the original picture I have is like this very soft and like gentle pose. And I'm like, that is not Jack. Like, no, that
Yeah.
that won't work at all. Like that just does not portray that story, that character at all. And I went back to the photographer and I was like, I love the model, but I need something harder. Like, and so she was like, so she
Right.
sent me his galleries and we went through. I was like, oh, that's the one. So, but yeah, but sometimes it does. I purchase pictures and then it's like, okay, that doesn't work anymore. So that's not always the best way to do it, but it's kind of been my process anyway.
I mean, I love the
Yeah, he was
covers,
not
so.
gentle.
No.
Yeah.
No, and I love that cover too. And it was worth the picture, because the original picture really was. It was like, puppy dog Jack.
Yeah.
Not the right one at all.
That's funny.
Are there any like genres or subgenres or tropes that you haven't written yet that you would like to write?
That I haven't written that I would like to write. I don't know. I mean, there probably are that I can't think of. The like, and I'm sure that there are ones that I haven't written. The only one that I really haven't written is Secret Baby, and I don't know if I'll ever write that one because that's not my personal favorite trope. But other than that, I mean, I'm sure there are. I can't think of them off the top of my head. But yeah, I mean, there's really nothing I don't think I would like to try to write. I like the challenge, and I like trying to make a creative spin on it if I can. I like kind of pushing myself to do tropes and things, or combining tropes and things that I haven't done before. So like, well, I guess I can't do that because it's a spoiler for the next book. So never mind, I will stop there. I almost just gave that away. That's a big trope. That's a big trope spoiler for the next one. So I'll reveal that soon. But
We won't tell.
am doing a trope I have not done in a long time. Yeah, right. I am doing a trope I haven't done in like traditional form and in a long time in the last book in the series. So that's been fun to do.
Do you have any special editions coming out or considering to do any?
So, yeah. So I don't have any. So I have like ones that I've had at like signings for the last
Yeah.
like year or two. But with the end of this series, I've been thinking about doing like some sort of special edition for these. For the dark romance series, they will be, and I'm blanking on the name of that, object covers. I don't know why I blanked on the word object covers, not models. So I think I'll do probably some special editions with
Nice.
those because they're darker romance, and why not kind of mix it up a little bit. But I think I'd like to do something for the end of this series for all books. I just haven't gotten myself into that game yet, but I would like to. So we'll see if I can manifest that and make it happen.
It will happen. There we go.
Yes,
Yeah.
I will do it.
I don't know. I feel like it's like a big logistic, especially for a it's a bigger series, like the amount of number.
Yes, it
Yeah.
is. It is. And then also, just to have, because I mean, I love the illustrated covers so much. So for me, it'd be like, I don't know what else I would want to do for a special edition cover because I love them. So I'd have to talk with my designer, and then she'll yell at me because I have all these projects for her. But I thought about it. I'd like to do something fun and different. So we'll see if I can make it work.
So we're on to the last question. Are you attending any book signings this year or next year?
So this year I'm actually done for the year. I will have a signing, sort of like an in-book store signing at Flutter in October. We just got the details this morning, so I'm excited for that. Next year I have a bunch of signings that I am set up for. So right now I am confirmed with Holiday with the Bells in Dallas. Rare Berlin. I'm going to end up missing some. I have a bunch of them. Romanticon in Southern Connecticut because that one's very close. Love in Vegas in October. And I don't know if I'm allowed to announce this. Indies Invade Philly in November. So I don't think it's that big of a deal. I don't think it's not giving any spoilers there. Yeah, no, I've sort of gotten, I sort of took on, like, because I just had one this year, so it was a quiet year for me. So I'm taking on a more ambitious one next year. So maybe every other year I'll kind of wave it a little bit, and we'll see. But yeah, as of next year I have those, and they're all really spaced out with each other, so
good.
I don't think it will feel as overwhelming as it sounds, but we'll see.
Yeah,
the Berlin one is going to be exciting. Like,
yeah, I have a bunch of translations there through a publisher, so yeah, I'm excited. Like I believe that they're like in bookstores there, so I want to like go and see my books in German and print there, and like I'm excited. So, and I've always wanted to go, so it's kind of giving me a really good excuse to hop on a flight and go to Germany. So yeah.
I have to say, like the German, like their versions, I was like, we need to step up our stuff because I was like,
no, yeah, their market is serious there. They have a really large romance market there, and their covers for especially the Boston Billionaire Bachelor series are really, really pretty. That they did. They're like just very simple and basic, but really pretty. And so I was like, oh, I really like that. But I can't steal it because they're a traditional publisher, but I really like them. But like they're the way that some of their covers are just really, really pretty and different.
Yeah, it's almost like a special edition, but it's kind of like the regular paperback or hardcover. Like you see it. And I'm like, oh, I thought we do.
Yeah, no, exactly
do
that.
Great ones, and then you see them. It's like, it's like they're really good. Like, I'm not saying like, because I've been seeing them.
Yeah, no, for sure. Their stuff is really nice. Yeah, and it's very cool how and the publisher that I work with there is great. Like they did them in audio. They did all the things for them, which is really exciting. They're not in Kindle Unlimited, just because of the way that this publisher works. But yeah, they're really cool. I think that they came out really neat.
Are you doing audio for this series?
Oh yeah. They're all in audio. In fact, the audiobook for this is hoping it'll end up being simultaneous. It's with Audible. It's with ACX. They're reviewing it. So I'm sort of at their mercy now for it. Because I got the file. So I ended up moving up the release date to the 30th, where it was supposed to be in July. And so if I had done that, it would have been definitely simultaneous because I could have scheduled it. But because I got the files when I did, I was sort of upload, and now I'm sort of at their mercy. They tell us 10 business days, and then it won't technically be at that 10-day mark, but sometimes they get it to us early. So we'll see. I'm hoping it ends up that they're like, Monday morning, they release it first thing, and then it all works out nicely. So we'll see. But it should be very shortly. It should be next week. So it should be release week.
Okay, so maybe it'll give people time to read it, and then, because I like to read things and then listen to it. I don't know why but so they'll give them time to do that.
It depends on my mood. Sometimes I'll read.
Yeah, well, that hopefully that's the goal, right?
Yeah. Sometimes I'll do like simultaneous, like it's immersive, so I don't have to like kind of like, oh, how are they saying things in my head? I'll just hear it when.
Yeah, some people go back and forth, like with the whisper sync. Is that right? It's whisper sync. How that works? It goes back and forth. Yeah. Like it catches you up on your Kindle with your audio as well, something like that. Which I think is very cool. Yeah, so I'm hoping that Audible is that the Audible gods shine down on me, and they're like, yes, it's gonna be simultaneous, but that doesn't always happen. So, but it should be next week for sure. Okay. So
it's gonna happen. It's gonna be Monday.
Fingers crossed. That would be great. Even if it's like Saturday, like, okay, even if it's a little early, right? Like, that's fine. I'll take it. So better early than late. So I'll take it. So yeah.
All right. Well, that brings us to the end of the episode. It was so much fun having you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you. You too. Thank you so much for having me. I had so much fun.
Me too.
And for our listeners, if you have not already, you need to check out Boston Irresistible Billionaire series and definitely read Undeniably Unexpected. Be sure to follow us on our socials and make sure to subscribe to our podcast so you don't miss out on any new episodes. If you have any authors that you would like to see on our podcast, you can send us a DM on Instagram at Unfiltered Romance Nights. Well, that's all. See you next time.